Well, here we go. I'm going to do a little question and answers vlog for you. I did put out a call a few vlogs ago asking if anyone had questions, and luckily a few of you did. I had visions of nobody wanting to know anything, but yeah, had a few questions, so I'm going to tackle that. I've never done a Q&A before, so yeah, bear with. Got myself a cup of tea because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. Little Tilly on the cup there. So yeah, let's get on with it, shall we? I had a few questions and some of them were like the same sort of around the same sort of idea, so I'll just tackle them kind of in a one or answering the question. So I had a few questions obviously asking how did I start out and what did I do before I ran my own business. So maybe I should answer this one in a chronological order. I have a degree in business management. Didn't really think that meant that I would be running my own business. But yeah, did that and then went into admin. So my background's in admin, and I think that when I'm in an admin role for work, I am super organised and efficient and I'm on it. I'm not quite so like that at home though, unfortunately. But yeah, I loved doing admin. And my last job was as the admin assistant in a primary school, which I really enjoyed. I loved being around kids all day as well. And at one point I wanted to be a teacher as well. There was just so many different routes that I could have gone down, and would never have predicted where I actually have ended up at all. But yeah, I liked working in the school, but I fell pregnant with my son and I went back job share, and going back after I had a baby and going back job share, I just did not enjoy it at all. My heart wasn't in it at all, wasn't interested. I think it didn't feel like it was my job as well because I was going back job share and that person had been there for, I took 2 years off, so they'd been there for a while as well, so it didn't feel like I was going back to my job. It just didn't feel right at all, and I just wanted to be at home with my baby, bringing him up. So it was kind of an easy decision because I was extremely unhappy. I really wasn't happy being at work. So the situation I was in at the time meant that luckily I could leave work and be a stay-at-home mum. And when Joshua was maybe 1 or so, that's when I started getting into sewing. So that leads me into the next part of the questions that I've got as to how I got into sewing. Having a little one and looking at all the catalogues that were around at the time for the baby shops and seeing all the lovely furnishings for babies' nurseries and stuff, my god, they're expensive. Cushions, cot bumpers and all that kind of thing, so expensive. And I was looking at a cushion one day that I really liked and I thought, surely I could just make that. So I went down a massive rabbit hole looking for the fabric, looking at how to make things, and it wasn't easy because there was no such thing as tutorials online in those days. So it really was, it took a lot of research, is that the right word I'm looking for, to figure out how to do stuff, and using library books and stuff way back in those days. I mean, I'm talking like 13 years ago, it's changed so much. But yeah, I just got the inspiration because I just thought, I grudge paying those prices, I could make it myself. So fell down a huge rabbit hole, made something else for a friend's birthday, sewed it all by hand, and then thought, yeah, maybe I could do a sewing machine. So ended up getting a sewing machine and loved it. I first started off with Tilda, a lot of the Tilda books. I found that look so inspiring, I loved it all. And made a few things from her books pretty early on, which weren't easy. I think actually up here on this shelf is a little softy cat, which was one of the first things that I made. Definitely not easy, and definitely not easy for beginner. But I think I said in one of my other vlogs, I like to run before I can walk. And then I think it was Twitter that I was on first, way back in the day, and I just posted photos of things I had been making. And remember, I made a little bag that I was going to take on holiday for my makeup, and somebody said, could you make me one of them so I could put my crochet in it? And that is how I started making project bags. Someone asked me for a bag for their crochet, So then I started marketing them in that sense for crafters, and it just grew from there. And so yeah, I started off on Twitter maybe 10 years ago, maybe slightly longer than that. And then a lot of us back then were doing blogs, so I had a blog and a little bloggy community grew, and I still know people now that I met through blogs, which is just so nice. And we've all grown at the same sort of pace, and we've gone through Instagram, and then we now vlog, which is just, it's really nice. But I think that's where a lot of my following comes from as well, and a lot of my customers, it's like they've built up over such a long period of time. So yeah, and then after Twitter and blogging, moved to Instagram, which was a great tool, and now vlogging and YouTube. I think that's all the questions relating to business, but I'm going to go through them. I've pulled up them on YouTube here, so if I miss any, I do apologise. I've just asked it to filter out any questions for me. Now I need to figure out which ones are on the right video. Right. What inspired me to start my business? So I've answered that one. I've got a question. Do I have a garden in the front of my house? I do. It's very small. My house just faces onto the street, and there's about 2 meters worth of like width of grass, and then I do have a little bit of soil there. It's north facing, so it doesn't get a lot of sun. I have in recent years just started to plant more stuff in it, and I'm wanting it to be more like a little woodland theme. So there's currently some foxgloves coming, which is nice. I like foxgloves, and I've moved a few things from the back that I think would survive, like some of the more hardy geraniums. I think there's feverfew there from, I don't know where that appeared from, but I really like it. It's very pretty, so I've hoped that's self-seeded. There is a rose, and I've moved a clematis around there as well to climb up a shrub, and I'm hoping that that's going to flower in the next few months. That would be really nice. So yeah, I do have a garden. You won't see it, I don't think. It's not very pretty. It's quite weedy. Yeah, it doesn't look great, but I'm trying to hide that with the plants. Do I have any brothers or sisters? I have a brother who's younger than me. He's 10 years younger than me, so that's a pretty big age gap, and I think partly that's why I am a person who likes spend a lot of time on their own, because for the first 10 years of my life I was on my own. So yeah, I led quite a solitary life really. Didn't have a busy life as a child, so spent a lot of time playing on my own, using my imagination, and being creative really. So yeah. Have I always lived in Fife? Yes, I grew up in the next town, which is a smaller town to this one. This one's quite a big town that I live in now. And when I was younger, I said, if I'm still living here when I'm 30, shoot me. And here I am. Obviously thought I had big ambition back then. I thought I'd travel the world, but that never happened. And the second part of that question is, if I could live somewhere else in the world, where would it be? I spent an awful lot of time thinking about this question, and I maybe taken it too seriously, like I didn't take it too lightly, but I really struggled to answer that question. I used to always have dreams of living somewhere like the south of France or Italy, or somewhere quite rural, and you know, I could have my garden and grow stuff and live off the land and all that kind of thing. But I just don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. I also have a little vision that is, when I'm a little old lady, I want to be living by the sea. I'd love to live by the sea. So yeah, I don't know where it would be, but that's my little dream, my little vision. But yeah, as long as I've got a garden and sunshine and I'm not too far from the sea, I think I'll be happy. I've always lived near the sea, so if I couldn't live somewhere landlocked because I needed to get to the sea. I love it so much. And also I think I haven't been to many places around the world other than like holiday resorts, so I don't feel like I could give like a well thought out answer to where I could live. So yeah, that's a really boring answer. Somebody said, oh no, that's not a question. When did I start my Etsy shop, and how did I decide what to sell? Actually, I didn't start selling on Etsy until about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I sold a lot of stuff through social media, just by sending people invoices after they've seen photos and posting photos of what I had for sale. And then I tried Folksy, but that didn't take off. And then I moved to Etsy once I had the customer base to start with. So yeah, not that long really in the grand scale of how long I've had a business. And what did I decide to sell? There seemed to be a market for craft storage, so yeah, everything ended up down that route. But I've made other stuff over time as well. Obviously having a little child, I'd made personalised cushions, little bibs. I did personalised t-shirts at one point. They were popular. I made loads for Joshua as well. Yeah, I tried other things like little baby quilts and stuff, but yeah, a lot of stuff just didn't sell. A lot of stuff wasn't popular, so it's just a case of trying different things and seeing what works. And when you find something that works, go with it and diversify on that a little bit. And somebody said, you mentioned what you used to go to craft shows, but they weren't very effective. No, I think that people who go to craft fairs are not my customers. I didn't do well at all, and it is difficult to pick yourself up from that, because you think, well, nobody wants my stuff. But then because I had an online shop at the same time, I thought, but people do want my stuff, people are buying my stuff. So luckily I had that confidence boost knowing that I had customers elsewhere and that they just weren't at craft fairs. So yeah, it's a great way to start out and get your stuff seen, but they're not for everybody. And from watching what happens at craft fairs, especially around Christmas and that, jewellery sells well, food sells well, I noticed, but my stuff did not sell. So yeah, wasn't for me. Somebody's asked me where I get my fabric from. I tend to buy my fabric from wholesalers now, because I'll just get a whole roll of it or whole bolts of it, as I've shown in my vlogs before. And I buy stuff from local shops as well if I just want a metre or two. Or I'll go online and just have a look. If there's something in particular I want, just sort of Google the fabric and find the best place to buy it. I spent a lot of time researching where to buy fabrics, and one of my USPs, which is my unique selling point, is my range of fabrics that I offer to people. And at one point everything that I sold was made to order and everybody got to choose their own fabric combinations and stuff. So that was quite unique at that point, and the fabrics that I had were quite different to what anyone else had at that time. So yeah, it was quite important for me to do a lot of research and just find stuff that was a little bit different. So yeah, I have put in a hell of a lot of work in finding where to source fabrics, and I still do. Someone has asked, I just wondered about the patterns you use for pouches and bags. Do you make them up or do you buy them from someone? Mostly make them up, and I've made loads of things up over the years. I really enjoy designing storage, and I've made quite a lot of my own designed ones, but it takes such a long time and such a lot of trial and effort that yes, now I do have a couple of patterns that I buy or I've bought and they come with the rights to sell. So the fabric baskets that I'm making recently, they're from a pattern to sell, a pattern that I've bought, and the larger style pouches, which I haven't got one to hand at the moment. So yes, a mixture, but if I can make it myself, then I will. If it's a bit more complex, then yeah, I'm happy to pay for a pattern. And if I've made something from a paid for pattern, it's always credited in the Etsy listing as well. Somebody said, how long have I been sewing bags and how did I get started? I've answered that. Your hair looks so natural and lovely. Thank you. Is it natural? Yes, it is. It's gotten really curly over the years. If I just leave it to dry, this is it left to dry, so it's starting to go curly. I'm trying to find the right products to use with it. I'm not really that into hair products and stuff. Like I'm not that bothered, but it does need tamed a little bit. But I'm starting to feel like it's looking a bit better, a bit curlier and stuff. So yeah, it is natural. I do prefer it. Do I prefer it straight? I don't know. If it sits nicely and does as it's told when it's curly, I don't mind. But I like straightening it sometimes, but I'm trying not to straighten it too much because it's not great for your hair. Do you ship to the United States? Yes, I ship worldwide. And someone is asking, somebody else on a different vlog, I don't think this was a part of the Q&A, but it's asking what I do with all my pots over winter in the garden. We didn't really get winter this year, we've hardly had any frost. Normally I would take the terracotta pots and at least put them in the greenhouse so they didn't get so cold, because they will chip and crack in the frosts. But yeah, luckily that didn't happen this year. And the plants in them, well, yeah, if you're not strong enough to survive, then you won't survive basically. I do have a lot of perennials, so they're usually fine. But over the years, yeah, I have lost one or two sometimes, but oh well. And I think, oh no, I did get another one. I've got more questions. I need to go back to the actual vlog. Bear with. Another question that I got was, where can I find the beautiful house ornaments you have around your home? I can only think that someone is meaning these ones, because I don't know that I've shown you any others, although I did have a thing for buying little houses, so I do have a lot of little house ornaments. This one is actually a lamp, which is really sweet, and it was from Pound Stretchers years ago. This one's a tea light holder, and it was probably from somewhere like a Poundland or Tiger or something like that. I'll try and remember to show you some of the others as well, but yeah, I was always drawn to little houses. Someone else has said, I'd like to ask how and when you realised that sewing was your passion. When I was first learning to sew, I knew it was my passion because I couldn't tear myself away from my books or from a sewing machine to do stuff, and I had a little toddler at the time, so as you can imagine, nap times, as soon as he went for a nap, I was straight out with the sewing machine at the kitchen table. I didn't have a sewing room back then, so everything was done at the kitchen table. So yeah, it's when you eat, sleep, drink and breathe something, you know you're into it. And yeah, I felt like I'd found a creative outlet that fitted me. I've never been what I would consider artistic, like I don't feel like I can draw or paint or anything like that. But so I didn't think I was creative, but give me some fabric and I'll show you how creative I am. So yeah, I just loved it, and loved the fact that there were books out there telling you how to do it. So yeah, you just know, because I was obsessed. I'd spend a lot of time on American fabric websites as well, because you could get the fabric so much cheaper over there. And back in the beginning, you could order fabric from America without getting taxed by the postage system, and then it changed and you were getting charged like 20 odd quid tax for ordering stuff from America, and I'm not sure if it's changed again. I've never dared try. If anybody knows, if anybody's ordered fabric from America, let me know. Or maybe no, maybe don't let me know, or maybe don't need to know. She said, how did you know it was your passion, or maybe you wanted to do something else but life brought you to where you are now? Yeah, I mentioned before that I did think about wanting to do something with children, but then I thought, well, I can have my own children and then still go down a different career path, so then get the best of both worlds. At one point I wanted to be an archaeologist, and now I'm kicking myself for not going down that route, because obviously I'm into that now. But yeah, there was a lot of things when I was younger that just didn't seem feasible. I don't think I had the encouragement to go and do whatever I wanted exactly. So yeah, there probably were other things I could have done, but I just wasn't pushed, don't think. What inspired me to start a business? Again, I didn't even plan to start a business. People just started to ask if they could buy the stuff I was posting, and it's been so organic from day one. Like I'm not a planner. I don't plan things like that. I've never done a business plan. I've never understood how you can do a business plan when suddenly something can happen next week and I'm suddenly making a different product that I hadn't even planned. That's just the way my business has always gone. Oh, someone asked whether I went ahead with the other volunteering role that I was doing. I talked about this was over a year ago. I started this, it was last March and April. I had looked into going to volunteering at, oh, can you see that fly at the camera there? Volunteering at another National Trust property, but it was as a guide indoors. So I went along, really enjoyed what I saw of the house, and started, did a couple of days in the house. It was Easter weekend was one of them, so they had an event on outside. It was a very quiet property. I think because I'm used to the palace where the footfall is massive. The palace is in a little village here, a beautiful little village, and the village has also been used in Outlander, so we get a lot of bus tours, lots of people. The other property that I was volunteering at is a house set out in the countryside, and it didn't get the footfall, so it was very quiet. So yeah, it was pretty boring. And the other major thing that I realised that I hadn't known about myself was that I really didn't enjoy being stuck indoors all day, and because of the historical things inside the house, there was mesh up on the windows. I couldn't even see outside, so I literally couldn't even see daylight. Like, I could tell it was sunny, but I couldn't see out into the gardens or anything, and I found that a horrible feeling, and I really didn't like it. So yeah, all in all, it wasn't for me. I know we've got guides at the palace who are so into all their history and the stories, and they love it, and I think that's great, but it wasn't for me. So no, and plus I wasn't always available when they needed me, so it got a bit frustrating. Yeah, I wasn't as available as I thought I might be, but it wasn't meant to be, that one, but I gave it a go. Have I always been into sewing and crafting? Yes, but not sewing on a machine sewing. I think I started off like most little girls in the 90s with cross stitches, because it was quite big back then, wasn't it? I think one of the first kits I got was a Forever Friends kit with the little bears, and I think I just got into it from then and did lots of cross stitching. My mum was into that and got magazines as well, so there was always some kits going about. I had kits for presents and stuff, so yeah, I always had a bit of sewing going, sewing on the go. And then yeah, I was always interested in paper crafting as well. Again, it was difficult because we didn't have the internet back then, so I didn't have all these resources and tutorials and inspiration at my fingertips. So yeah, I found it quite difficult to get going. And back then there was like magazine subscriptions for crafty stuff, so I'd get them and then pore over that issue until the next one came out and try the things in the magazines and stuff. So yeah, I've always been into crafting of some sort. And I've made you wait to the very end for the most pressing question that I think most of you wanted to know. Have I got a boyfriend? Yes, I do. I have been with my boyfriend for almost 1.5 years now. I did put a little hint in one of my vlogs the other day there, and loads of you were curious to know who it was, etc. Yeah, although I vlog and I'm on Instagram a lot, I do keep my life very, very private, and I like it that way. I'm happy to put up some little hints here and there, but for now that's all you're going to find out. And that is all of the questions, I think. If I've missed any out, I do apologise, and if there's anything that you would like to know and you missed out on asking, just pop it under this video and I'll answer it in the comments as well. I'll be back to normal vlogging tomorrow, which will be Friday, and thank you for watching, and thank you for asking questions as well. You made me feel like you were interested, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found out a little bit more about me, and I'll see you next time.
You as you drive, do you know I'm looking, and I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along.